Leviticus, chapters 1 through 4. And the Lord called Moses again and spoke to him out of the tabernacle of witness, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and thou shalt say to them, If any man of you shall bring gifts to the Lord, ye shall bring your gifts of the cattle, and of the oxen, and of the sheep. If his gift be a whole burnt offering, and he shall make an unblemished male of the herd to the door of the tabernacle of witness, he shall bring it as an acceptable before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering as a thing acceptable for him, to make atonement for him. And they shall slay the calf before the Lord, and the sons of Aaron the priest shall bring the blood, and they shall pour the blood round about on the altar, which is at the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And having flayed the whole burnt offering, they shall divide it by its limbs. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire on the altar, and shall pile wood on the fire. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall pile up the divided parts, and the head, and the fat on the wood of fire, the wood which is on the altar. And the entrails and the feet they shall wash in water, and the priest shall put all on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if his gift be of the sheep to the Lord, or of the lambs, or of the kids for whole burnt offerings, he shall bring it a male without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on its head, and they shall kill it by the side of the altar, toward the north before the Lord, and the sons of Aaron the priest shall pour its blood on the altar round about. And they shall divide it by its limbs, and its head and its fat, and the priest shall pile them up on the wood, which is on the fire on the altar. And they shall wash the entrails and the feet with water, and the priest shall bring all the parts and put them on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if he bring his gift, a burnt offering to the Lord, of birds, then he shall bring his gift of doves or pigeons. And the priest shall bring it to the altar, and shall wring off its head, and the priest shall put it on the altar, and shall wring out the blood at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away the crop with the feathers, and shall cast it forth by the altar toward the east, to the place of the ashes. And he shall break it off from the wings, and it shall not separate it. And the priest shall put it on the altar of the wood, which is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. And if a soul bring a gift of sacrifice to the Lord, his gift shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and shall put frankincense on it. It is the sacrifice. And he shall bring it to the priests of the sons of Aaron. And having taken from it a handful of fine flour with the oil, and all its frankincense, then the priest shall put it a memorial on the altar. It is a sacrifice, an odor of sweet savor to the Lord. And the remainder of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, a most holy portion from the sacrifices of the Lord. And if he bring as a gift a sacrifice baked from the oven, a gift to the Lord of fine flour, he shall bring unleavened bread kneaded with oil, and unleavened cakes anointed with oil. And if thy gift be a sacrifice from a pan, it is fine flour mingled with oil, unleavened offerings. And thou shalt break them into fragments and pour oil upon them. It is a sacrifice to the Lord. And if thy gift be a sacrifice from the hearth, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And he shall offer the sacrifice which he shall make of these to the Lord, and shall bring it to the priest. And the priest shall approach the altar, and shall take away from the sacrifice a memorial of it. And the priest shall place it on the altar, a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And that which is left of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, most holy from the burnt offerings of the Lord. Ye shall not leaven any sacrifice which ye shall bring to the Lord. For as to any leaven or any honey, ye shall not bring of it to offer a gift to the Lord. Ye shall bring them in, the way of the fruits to the Lord. But they shall not be offered on the altar for a sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. And every gift of your sacrifice shall be seasoned with salt. Omit not the salt of the covenant of the Lord from your sacrifices. On every gift of yours ye shall offer salt to the Lord your God. And if thou wouldest offer a sacrifice of first fruits to the Lord, it shall be new grains ground and roasted for the Lord. So shalt thou bring the sacrifice for the first fruits. And thou shalt pour oil upon it, and shalt put frankincense on it. It is a sacrifice. And the priest shall offer a memorial of it taken from the grains with the oil, and all the frankincense. It is a burnt offering to the Lord. And if his gift to the Lord be a peace offering, if he should bring it of the oxen, whether it be male or whether it be female, he shall bring it unblemished before the Lord. He shall lay his hands on the head of the gift, and shall slay it before the Lord by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall pour the blood on the altar of burnt offerings round about. And they shall bring of the peace offering a burnt sacrifice to the Lord, the fat covering the belly, and all the fat on the belly, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them. He shall take away that which is on the thighs, and the caul above the liver, together with its kidneys. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall offer them on the altar on the burnt offering, on the wood which is on the fire upon the altar. It is a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if his gift be of the sheep, a peace offering to the Lord, male or female, he shall bring it unblemished. If he bring a lamb for his gift, he shall bring it before the Lord. He shall lay his hands on the head of his offering, and shall slay it by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall pour out the blood on the altar round about. He shall bring of the peace offering a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. The fat and the hinder part of the unblemished he shall take away with the loins. And having taken away all the fat that covers the belly, and all the fat that is on the belly, and both the kidneys and the fat that is upon them, and that which is on the thighs, and on the caul which is on the liver with the kidneys, the priest shall offer these on the altar. It is a sacrifice of sweet savor, a burnt offering to the Lord. And if his offering be of the goats, then he shall bring it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hands on its head, and they shall slay it before the Lord, by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall pour out the blood on the altar round about. And he shall offer it a burnt offering to the Lord, even the fat that covers the belly, and all the fat that is on the belly, and both the kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them, that which is upon the thighs, and the caul of the liver with the kidneys, shall he take away. And the priest shall offer it upon the altar. It is a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. All the fat belongs to the Lord. It is perpetual statute throughout your generations. In all your habitations, ye shall eat no fat and no blood. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin unwillingly before the Lord, in any of the commandments of the Lord, concerning things which he ought not to do, and shall do some of them, if the anointed priest sin, so as to cause the people to sin, then shall he bring for his sin, which he has sinned, an unblemished calf of the herd to the Lord for his sin. He shall bring the calf to the door of the tabernacle of witness before the Lord. He shall put his hand on the head of the calf before the Lord, and shall slay the calf in the presence of the Lord. And the anointed priest, who has been consecrated, having received of the blood of the calf, shall then bring it into the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall dip his finger into the blood, and sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord, over against the holy veil. And the priest shall put of the blood of the calf on the horns of the altar of the compound incense, which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of witness. And all the blood of the calf shall he pour out by the foot of the altar of whole burnt offerings, which is by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And all the fat of the calf of the sin offering shall he take from it, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that is on the innards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is on the thighs, and the caul that is on the liver with the kidneys. Them shall he take away. As he takes it away from the calf of the sacrifice of peace offering, so shall the priest offer it on the altar of burnt offering. And they shall take the skin of the calf, and all his flesh with the head of the extremities, and the belly, and the dung. And they shall carry out the whole calf out of the camp into a clean place, where they pour out the ashes, and they shall consume it there on the wood with fire. It shall be burnt on the ashes poured out. And if the whole congregation of Israel trespass ignorantly, and a thing should escape the notice of the congregation, and they should do one thing forbidden in any of the commandments of the Lord, which ought not to be done, and should transgress, and the sin wherein they have sinned should become known to them, then shall the congregation bring an unblemished calf of the herd for a sin offering, and they shall bring it to the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the calf before the Lord, and they shall slay the calf before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall bring in of the blood of the calf into the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall dip his finger into some of the blood of the calf, and shall sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, and from the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the incense composition, which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of witness. And he shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of whole burnt offerings, which is by the door of the tabernacle of witness. And he shall take away all the fat from it, and shall offer it up on the altar. And he shall do to the calf as he did to the calf of the sin offering, so it shall be done. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and the trespass shall be forgiven them. And they shall carry forth the calf whole without the camp, and they shall burn the calf as they burnt the former calf. It is a sin offering of the congregation. And if a ruler sin, and break one of all the commandments of the Lord his God, doing the thing which ought not to be done, unwillingly, and shall sin in trespass, and his trespass wherein he has sinned be known to him, then shall he offer for his gift a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the kid, and they shall kill it in the place where they kill the victims for whole burnt offerings before the Lord. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall put some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offering. And he shall pour out all its blood by the bottom of the altar of the whole burnt offerings. And he shall offer up all his fat on the altar, and the fat of the sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin. It shall be forgiven him. And if a soul of the people of the land should sin unwillingly, in doing a thing contrary to any of the commandments of the Lord, which ought not to be done, and shall transgress, and his sin should not be known to him, wherein he has sinned, then shall he bring a kid of the goats, a female without blemish, shall he bring for his sin, which he has sinned. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and they shall slay the kid of the sin offering in the place where they slay the victims for the whole burnt offerings. And the priest shall take of its blood with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offerings, and all its blood he shall pour forth by the foot of the altar. He shall take away all the fat, as the fat is taken away from the sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall offer it of the altar for a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and his sin shall be forgiven him. And if he should offer a lamb for a sin offering, he shall offer it a female without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and they shall kill it in the place where they killed the victims for the whole burnt offerings. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offerings. And he shall pour out all the blood by the bottom of the altar of whole burnt offering. He shall take away all of the fat, as the fat of the lamb, of the sacrifice of peace offering is taken away. And the priest shall put it on the altar for a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin which he sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Psalm 32, 33 in Hebrew, verses 13 through 22. The Lord looks out of heaven, and beholds all the sons of men. He looks from his prepared habitation on all the dwellers on the earth, who fashion their hearts alone, who understands all their works. A king is not saved by reason of a great host, and a giant shall not be delivered by the greatness of his strength. A horse is vain for safety, neither shall he be delivered by the greatness of his power. Behold, the eyes of the Lord are on them that fear him, those that hope in his mercy, to deliver their souls from death, and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waits on the Lord, for he is our helper and defender. For our heart shall rejoice in him, and we have hoped in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us, according as we have hoped in thee. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 22 through 26. Whensoever thou walkest, lead this along, and let it be with thee. And when thou sleepest, let it keep thee, that it may talk with thee when thou wakest. For the commandment of the law is a lamp and a light, a way of life, reproof also, and correction, to keep thee continually from a married woman, and from the calumny of a strange tongue. Let not the desire of beauty overcome thee, neither be thou caught by thine eyes, neither be captivated with her eyelids. For the value of a harlot is as much as one loaf, and a woman hunts for the precious souls of men. The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 21, verses 23 through 46. And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority doest thou these things? And who gave thee this authority? And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if ye tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven, or of men? And they reasoned with themselves, saying, If we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why did ye not then believe him? But if we shall say, Of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Jesus and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither tell I you by what authority I do these things. But what think ye? A certain man had 2 sons, and he came to the first and said, Son, go to work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Whether of them twain did the will of his father? They say unto him, The first. Jesus saith unto them, Verily, I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God before you. For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and ye believed him not. But the publicans and the harlots believed him, and ye, when ye had seen it, repented not afterward, that ye might believe him. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder, which planted a vineyard, and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a faraway country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruits of it. And the husbandman took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all he sent unto them his son, saying, They will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him, and cast him out of the vineyard, and slew him. When the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, He will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits of their seasons. Jesus saith unto them, Did ye never read in the Scriptures, The stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner? This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore say I unto you, The kingdom of God shall be taken from you, and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet.